Welcome into Rover Sports, and we are live here on a Saturday morning. It is college game day. It is Davy Longhorns. It is officially the start of the NFL and college football weekend. I'm absolutely juiced. I haven't been able to sleep since like 8 o'clock, just looking at all these lines, and I'm just so excited that football is back in our lives for another 2 days.
Expensive Saturday?
It's Saturday.
I'm so hungover. I thought it was Wednesday. Jesus. Oh, my goodness. It's Saturday. Let's go.
Come on. Why? What are you doing? You're still doing stuff on a Friday night?
I thought it was Tuesday. I was waking up Wednesday morning. I mean, I was still, man.
Are you still treacherous from last night?
I'm still treacherous from last weekend.
You still got the residuals of last weekend. Cowboys Saints was the last game, and I mean, I even like Monday. I still like Monday night football better than Sunday night because Monday night gives you another reason to go out and drink again. You know, on Monday.
Monday Night Football gave you a reason to go out and drink this weekend. Just saw how depressing the matchup was. 0-3 Bengals versus 0-3 Steelers. It was just depressing to even realize that this is your Monday night matchup. That's why I was.
Andy Dalton is so depressing because he's like Marvin Lewis. Like, he'll just never leave. You know, there's some guys that get prematurely jacked, like Dwayne Haskins gets, removed early. And Andy Dalton's a quarterback that could just be so mundane, and he could be such a hindrance to your life for so long. And it just sucks seeing the Bengals play anytime. I mean, because they have no juice whatsoever.
I mean, Andy Dalton's your perfect Cincinnati quarterback. No juice in the organization. No juice in the quarterback. He is the city of Cincinnati. He's like Skyline Chili, completely overrated. You know.
Yeah. You've had before?
I've had Skyline Chili. It's completely overrated.
It sounds like it's awful. It sounds like it's pasta and like I'm down with nachos, but it doesn't even sound like nachos.
It's like chili and pasta. The cheese is good, at least.
Right. You can't screw that up.
Yeah, it's hard to screw up cheese if you like cheese.
So we are up here. It is officially Saturday morning. Again, I announced that, and just going to check. We are live. We got a person on board, which is key. We actually have 5 people on board. Got a couple of thumbs up. And Fia says, that the Dolphins, are they going to take Tua Tagovailoa? And I believe that if the Dolphins go 0-16, I think Tua is by far the best quarterback to take.
I would 100% agree. I think at number 1, they're going to go quarterback. I would have to imagine it will be Tua at this point. Herbert's having a great year. You know, Tua just has always looked like that all-everything prospect. That being said, you never know once the draft process starts, a team falls in love with a certain guy. That I can't tell you how it's going to play out, but Tua seems to be that guy. I'd be shocked at this point if it wasn't Tua. I'd put that at like an 80%.
I think Herbert has been terrific, though. And when I look at the quarterbacks in the NFL, let's start to rank the quarterbacks that we would take over Justin Herbert. I'm talking about for the next 4 years. I don't think Drew Brees is going to be playing longer. I wouldn't take Tom Brady or Stidham for 4 more years. I would take Herbert over Daniel Jones, over the Redskins quarterback, over Prescott. Herbert's probably at least a top 10 quarterback the moment he steps onto the NFL field. And Tua might be a top 7 quarterback the moment he steps onto the NFL field.
I mean, those are strong takes. The moment they step onto the field, I'm not sure that I quite agree with that. I think in time, I think as you said, the 4 years, I could definitely buy into that argument. I mean, for whichever guy gets put onto the Dolphins, they're not going to look great right away. Let's just call it like it is. Unfortunately, a total tank job.
Maybe not, but you still have Devontae Parker, you have, Jasicki, you have Kenyon Drake, who's famous for a punt return at Alabama, who should have never been an amazing running back, but he was.
Yeah, you still got to realize that they have no offensive line. Devontae Parker will show up
maybe
every
once every 10 games.
Yeah, Devontae Parker does just enough to get re-signed. Will do just enough to get re-signed by somebody next year, but
Yeah, I'm kidding. I don't know why I said that. He had one catch, and you think he's gonna turn it around. He's like Kevin White and Brashad Perriman. He's like those guys in that same draft class.
Yeah, exactly. He's a little bit better than those guys, but yeah, he's very frustrating to watch because there's so much more there. I don't know if Kevin White there's anything more than just a broken leg.
I'll tell you why I love Justin Herbert. I love Herbert because he is a bio major. He's super smart. His personality, he never really gets high or low. Now in the big games, like against Auburn, if he was perfect, you would want to see Justin Herbert get on his team a little bit more. But I think he's more of a football gamer than a Jacob Eason. He's so fast. He's such a tall guy at 6'6". His arm strength is fine. There's almost no weaknesses to his game. And when you look at Mitchell Trubisky succeeding, or you look at a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins that's absolutely adequate in the NFL, I just think Herbert is a lock. I think that Tua and Herbert are locks. And a lot of people would actually say that Herbert is a safer pick because Herbert is adequate height, where Tua's 6'1" and is always in the injury tent.
No, I definitely would agree. Herbert's definitely a safer pick. I think it's a little bit more prototypical to what you've seen in the NFL over the last 30 years. But, there's nothing typical about the way these offenses go nowadays. And the thing is, Herbert fits every mold of it, even with the evolution of the game. He can run, he does everything on a plus rating,
Right.
If I was going to give him out of 10 rating, probably he's not checking any box at anything lower than 6, which is an extreme compliment when you really start going through. His weakest point would be a 6, in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the one thing he does have.
News. Sorry.
What? What's the breaking news?
You summarized Herbert really well. We're going to get into the games. We have officially 50 minutes until the college football starts. But, of course, on Rover Sports, this channel, and I mean this in a polite way, this channel is now like a Bills channel. There's a lot of Giants channels on YouTube, but most of my diehard fans or people who follow are Buffalo Bills people. They've informed me that Josh Allen is going to be playing instead of Matt Barkley. And that means that Davis Webb, again, will be wearing street clothes in Nashville, Tennessee tomorrow.
Oh, come on. Davis Webb.
But in all seriousness, Josh Allen, he struggled last week. A lot of people on the internet are making fun of Josh Allen, but it was the Patriots defense. I watched that film again, and I've been meaning to get out a film review, but it's not like John Brown and Cole Beasley were creating a ton of separation. I'm not worried about Buffalo one bit. I'm not worried about Josh Allen one bit. Do you think I should be a little worried at how terrible he played against the Patriots?
I wouldn't be worried at all. And the reason is, over 4 games, the Patriots defense looks really, really good. They've given up 1 defensive touchdown. That was Josh Allen's quarterback sneak. The team has given up nothing all year. It might be unrealistic to expect the Bills in Week 4 to have cracked that code. I think as the film comes out and there's a little more film, people will find whatever weakness there may be on the Patriots. Josh Allen's not, a great quarterback, but the thing, as I've said before, he's a winner. And I think if you had given him that ball at the end of the game, he would have figured out a way to win it. But, he got hurt. It is what it is,
No, 100% he would have won the game. And I was waiting for Josh Allen when he was pumping up the crowd. I was waiting for him to emerge like the Undertaker and finish that game. because Josh Allen this year has proved that clutch gene, like against the Jets. And the Jets still had Sam Darnold. They had all the firepower. He was down 16-0, playing terrible. He finished that game with a game-winning drive. Against Cincinnati, a game which Buffalo usually chokes to a lesser opponent. 17 unanswered points for the Bengals in the second half, and he finished that game. And I agree with you. And in fact, the first drive of the second half, they went right down the field because Frank Gore was gashing them. And if they stayed to the run, they would have scored another touchdown. Matt Barkley is horrible. He can't throw 10 yards, so I'm definitely think they would have won.
Yeah, I think it actually is pretty obvious that they will have won. I mean, I know you can't go back, but there's so many times in that game where you could just say if Barkley was just a little bit better here, there, Josh Allen to me is give me Josh Allen in the fourth quarter. He's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL when it comes to game-winning drive intangibles, trying to stop him at the end. I really believe he's a top 5 guy in that type of a sense.
He's a young Big Ben Roethlisberger. I think that, it was interesting. Stephon Diggs wasn't on the field in Minnesota, and I think that the Bills were looking to trade for another wide receiver because this is the Bills' year. Like, their schedule's not going to get any easier than this. Their defense is poised. Their defense is Super Bowl ready, and I still think the Bills are a Super Bowl contender. I don't know if they're going to make a move for another wide receiver or not at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I can't see them going out and getting Diggs. I could be wrong, because I think the asking price I saw that Minnesota would be asking for is like a first-round pick for Stephon Diggs. That's lunacy. So
yeah, and you don't want Stephon Diggs. The fact that he's leaving practice, he's subtweeting, he's a huge distraction. The Bills already got, I'm not saying that he's Antonio Brown, but the Bills, that's not the right guy to bring into that culture.
No, I think they got a great culture. I think the Bills have done it terrific. GM's doing a great job. Culture's good. You don't want to mess with it.
So let's address Clocks' question. We'll preview then a little college football after that. I appreciate everybody coming in here and listening to the show. So Clocks asked here, he's saying that Tampa Bay is 3 points at the Saints, and he's thinking about taking Tampa Bay. He's feeling the Jameis Winston buzz. He thinks that Jameis is going to turn the corner. Do you think Jameis Winston has turned the corner this year?
You probably won't find a bigger Jameis Winston apologist than myself. I think the guy's super talented. I think he does things at such a high rate in the NFL when he's not making the bonehead decisions.
Right.
He looks to have turned the corner at this point. That being said, I don't know that equates to a win in New Orleans. New Orleans is one of these places that historically really has the home field advantage with the crowd noise, everything that goes into it. It really is a home field advantage more than the next stadium just saying we're home field. It's historically one of the toughest places to play there, and Mile High and Kansas City are like the 3 stadiums that Vegas will truly tell you has a home field advantage.
How about Seattle?
Those are the 3 that Vegas really has historically said has the home field advantage.
Okay.
It's proven out. It's proven out over like a 20-year period, if that makes sense.
Seattle and Heinz Field.
Spencer, I'm telling you the 3 that are given. Like they think that the field are.
You're not budging.
I'm not budging because this is what Vegas will tell you. The rest is just kind of like your opinion, maybe not your opinion, but people's opinions. Yeah. No,
I understand. It's because of the altitude of Mile High, Kansas City, the sea of red. I totally get it, 1,000%. I don't see a lot of teams winning there. Denver has struggled a lot, but Denver's still really tough. I mean, Mahomes had to have a left-handed throw to beat them last year.
It's basically when you get into that, we'll get back to the Tampa question in a second. Basically, what Vegas takes into effect here is that those are like the three stadiums. Even when the team's not that good, it's still a tough place to play. And even when the teams are really good, it becomes like that much tougher to play in. If that makes sense. Where Heinz Field, the Steelers are good, and they play about the same as they do at home, even if they're winning by a little bit. It's not that much of a boost from any other stadium. Those are the three where basically it's a bigger boost than most for whatever odd reason. So that being said, I think Jameis is definitely for real this year. I believe. This is going to be your year if there ever is a year. Cam Newton's hurt. I mean, Kyle Allen's playing great at this point, but at the same time, the quarterback situation in Carolina is still iffy. You got the archaic Falcons who look absolutely terrible. One week they're great, one week they're terrible. They're beatable. The Saints, right now, if you're ever going to get ahead of the Saints in the division, Sunday's it. Drew Brees isn't there. That being said, I think the Saints will win that game, but if there ever is a chance, Sunday would be it.
I'm trying to think, and we're bouncing around everywhere. We got Davey Horns here on the line. You bring up the NFC South. I think that this is Dan Quinn's last year because I think Arthur Blank, it's just going to get ugly in Atlanta. And we could talk about Matt Ryan or the aging defense. But for Dan Quinn, I think his resume is good enough, getting to the Super Bowl, the playoff wins. I think he will take over. Like, how last year Vance Joseph got fired from an average team? I think that Dan Quinn will rebound quickly. I don't see him going to the college ranks, but I definitely see Quinny getting another chance. And I actually like Dan Quinn. I think I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a decent motivator. I think he's going to do fine.
I would agree with that assessment on Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn's biggest problem right now is that he's tied to Matt Ryan. And my take on Matt Ryan, to stay strong on this one, is that he's a guy who is archaic in the NFL. He was great 2-3 years ago, and it's going to be hard to argue this because he puts up these great passing numbers. He'll put up 400 yards, this, that, and the other thing. He's got no mobility within the pocket. I'm not talking about stepping up for runs. And the offense becomes predictable. Devontae Freeman has taken a huge step back over the last 2 years. There's no Tevin Coleman there anymore. The offense is just completely predictable. He's tied to all these guys who are getting paid as if they're superstars today in the NFL, and they were superstars 2 years ago. As good as Julio Jones has been, he's not as good as he was 2 years ago. And it just becomes another problem when you're paying all these guys all this money. And I just really believe that the NFL has kind of passed on Matt Ryan in many senses in the NFL. Like, it's too much speed, too much pressure that gets to him. Matt Ryan needs to play from a clean pocket all the time in order for him to be great. The games that he's not in the clean pocket, it basically has just gone way beyond him the game. He can't move. He makes fluttering throws, and you just rely on Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley to bail you out every play. And it really just hasn't happened consistently for him over the first 4 weeks, and I don't think it will. 1 week you'll have great Matt Ryan, next week not so great. And Dan Quinn, unfortunately, is tied to this mediocre play on offense that are getting paid big, big bucks. And people each week think that the Falcons should be this great team. And the reality is you just got mediocre play all around and just with big-name players. And that's what's going to do them in right now.
To your point, Atlanta is ranked 27th in the NFL in rushing a game. And all the other teams are terrible. Actually, when you look at running the football, that pretty much tells you, the top 5 teams are all terrible. I mean, the bottom 5, you have Cincinnati, Washington, and Miami. New England and Chicago, they only average about 90 yards rushing, but Atlanta is way down in the 70 range, right up there with the New York Jets. And Devontae Freeman, now the thing about Atlanta is they're Thomas Dimitroff, I think, is their GM. He's kind of pulling a Jerry Reese where they selected that tough kid, Caleb McGarry. I loved his physical nature, but the dude has he has heart ailments. He's always hurt. Chris Lindstrom of Boston College is chronically hurt. These are two whiffs on the offensive line, and they traded back into the first round to get an offensive lineman. Alex Mack is now injured. He was one of the great linemen that they had. Devontae Freeman, it's so rare when a player is on the downside as a running back, and Ito Smith has always been nothing. No offense to Ito if he's listening. But Devontae Freeman, he was like that Sean Green. Remember Sean Green of the Jets where you thought he would bounce back? Just like Bishop, Sankey, all these running backs of the past. Once they hit that nosedive, they're just about done. And unfortunately, Devontae Freeman is just about done. And that's what's so frustrating with the Falcons is on defense, they have good linebackers. They have some explosive players on the defensive side of the football. Their cornerbacks are very good. And, yeah, their running game is just terrible. You're absolutely right. Devontae Freeman should be a good running back, and he's just not.
It just is what it is with the Falcons. I mean, you put the money into the wrong places. Really, the guy who should be getting fired, you brought up the name, Dimitroff. I mean, that's who should be getting fired there. It's not Dan Quinn, even though obviously he'll be gone. I mean, this guy has just done a poor job of putting this team together. It's aged poorly over the last year or two. Like, it's looked really, really bad, really quick. And you can say, well, they're only 2 years removed from a Super Bowl. Well, you know what it is, you know?
The kiss of death in the NFL is when you have really good wide receivers that everybody thinks your offense should explode. Like when the Giants had Ingram, when they signed Brandon Marshall, that's when a team gets really overrated. The Cleveland Browns have Landry and Odell Beckham. The Vikings have Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Whenever you have expectations that your receivers are unbelievable, that's when the public jumps on you, and that's when the quarterback gets nervous and starts to suck.
I couldn't have said it better myself. You're 100% right. Probably should end there because
let's end there.
There's no truer point.
Let's end the podcast. No, I'm kidding. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the game since we have a lot of NFL listeners. Let's pick 4 games that we're excited to watch in the 1 o'clock hour. So why don't you preview 4 games that you're excited to watch in the 1 o'clock hour?
Okay. First game I'm excited to watch, it's just going to be me personally, Rover and I, Giants versus Vikings. Everyone's picking the Vikings. You know, their Vegas is sexy pick. I cannot wait to see this game. And the real reason I can't wait to see it, everyone's Daniel Jones. I can't wait to see how his offense looks when they get their best receiver back in Golden Tate. And that's, to me, what is just absolutely fascinating about this game. It's Jones has looked really good, looked great for week 1. I thought last week he looked okay, just to be fair with him. He looked okay. Yeah, they beat the Redskins. What's he do? Everyone's going to beat them this year. And I can't wait to see when they get back golden on Sunday. It's just, to me, it's going to be fascinating. I think he's going to add a whole different dimension to the offense, a guy who can make you miss in space. You know, I think the offense was a nice little boost. Gallman was a surprise last week with 118 total yards. I don't expect him to be doing that this week. I think Gallman's going to basically do nothing. I think he's terrible. Can the Giants secondary step up and stop this terrible passing attack of the Vikings? Kirk Cousins hasn't looked good, but he certainly has the weapons in Thielen and Diggs. Kind of as you said, there's always expectation that each week they can go out and just kill you. Can that secondary that hasn't looked that good step up, make the plays? This could be an interesting dynamic to see. What do you think?
Yeah. I'll tell you a couple of guys that are kind of going under the radar in this matchup. I think if the Vikings were smart, I think that if this guy is healthy, I might be saying a player that is injured. I know one of these guys is not injured. I think that Irv Smith Jr. from Alabama, who I thought is a really good tight end that Minnesota selected, or Kyle Rudolph, those guys can have big games with Ryan Connolly missing. On the edge, if Dalvin Cook can get a toss play going left or right, and they can get on the edge, I think that the Vikings can run the football effectively on the edge against the Giants. Offensively, the Vikings defense defensively, the Vikings have a pretty good defensive attack. But I think that Daniel Jones, as long as he doesn't make those dumb throws to the middle of the field, he made 2 terrible throws against the Redskins. As long as Golden Tate, the Giants can possess the ball a little bit, win the time of possession battle, I think that Wayne Gallman does have to get some yards, and Shurmur would be smart to continue running the ball. Pat Shurmur knows the Minnesota Vikings. I expect this game to be very close. I actually expect the Giants defense is juiced. Jabril Peppers is an outstanding leader. I don't know if you watched Mic'd Up or not, but I think that Dre Baker in this defense, I think the Giants are going to hold the Vikings to about 21 points, and then the Giants are going to have about 17 or 24 points. That's kind of how I see the game going. I think it's going to be close. You're going to see punts. You're going to see a lot of that in this game.
I definitely agree. On to the next game. I got an upset
sorry, I just
alert.
threw a whole bunch of stuff there. I think if I had to choose, I really think the Giants can win this game. I do. I'm jacked. I'm excited. And you know what, David? You were with me in the car when we were going to the first preseason game of Giants and Jets, and I told our mutual friend Adam, I told him that the Giants were a wild card team this year, and I said that Eli Manning would lead them to a wild card. I'm totally wrong on Eli Manning, but if the Giants are 3-2, no one thought this team would ever be 3-2 to start the season.
If they get to 3, if they do win this Sunday, which unfortunately I do not expect them to win, I think they will lose a game by about a touchdown.
Right.
I think it'll be a good game. I think they just won't have enough firepower in the end. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but it's just the way I see it. They go 3-2, they're gonna have a very good chance at the wild card. When you consider that they still have a matchup with the Jets, still have a matchup with the Dolphins, and still have another matchup with the Redskins. That should be
Cardinals,
and they play the Cardinals too. That should be, in the very least, 3 out of 4, maybe 4 out of 4 wins. You know,
should be 4 out of 4. But then you have the Eagles and the Cowboys. Unfortunately, you have Packers.
Maybe steal one. Maybe steal one here and there.
Chicago, it's going to be tough.
Maybe you can steal a game. It's going to be tough. And it's not easy here.
Yeah, I think it could be 8 or 9. Life isn't easy, but you know what, David? Why don't you introduce the next game? I have to go up for 1 second and get something. Introduce the next game for us. Go ahead.
Next game we're going to talk about today, the Buffalo Bills versus Tennessee Titans. The Titans are one of those Jekyll and Hyde teams where, 1 week everybody's writing them off. Next week they come out and beat everybody. They've had 2 great wins this year on the road against Atlanta and the Cleveland Browns. They're at home this week. They don't play that well at home this week. They don't ever really play well at home. The Bills should come in there, if the information is given correct, with Josh Allen playing. I think they'll come in, win the game, maybe like a 21 or 20-17, 20-14. Defense has been great all year. Josh Allen has seemed to be able to get every play when he needs to done. I expect it to be close in the fourth quarter with a Josh Allen drive somewhere, with the Buffalo Bills pulling off the Vegas upset and winning this game. What do you think, Rover?
Yeah, so I think Tennessee was favored because I think everybody assumed that Matt Barkley would be in this game. Now that the line will probably tick down to like 1.5 before game time. Marcus Mariota had 1 game against the Atlanta Falcons. Mariota's a gamer. He's a very likable guy from the island of Hawaii. probably one of the friendliest guys in the NFL. You just want a guy like Marcus to do really well, and you want to see him hold off at Tannehill. But this game for the Buffalo Bills are the better team. They need to get pick sixes on defense, which is very, very possible. Now, Tennessee, like you said, is Jekyll and Hyde. Some weeks they play really, really well. I think Tennessee's defense is actually legit. Mike Vrabel's going to have a great scheme. If Josh Allen leaves the game in the first quarter, say that he gets dinged up again, then the Tennessee Titans are going to roll in this game and win. If Matt Barkley was playing, the Titans would win this game by a touchdown. But now I think it's going to be a very, very close game. If the Bills can win this game, they then host Miami next week. And then their chances of winning the AFC East and getting a bye is right back on. I'm going to go with Buffalo if Josh Allen plays all 4 quarters. That's the key in this game. Can Josh play the 4 quarters?
I mean, honestly, yeah, if Josh plays, they're going to win. Even if somehow he gets knocked out. The one thing I know about the Tennessee Titans, maybe it's because I've bet on so many games, the more you expect the Tennessee Titans to win a game over the years, the less likely they are to win it. For whatever reason, the games they're not supposed to win, they come out and win.
Yeah.
And the game that whenever the Tennessee Titans have like one of these quirky stats that whenever they're favored by like 3.5 or more, or something like that, they are archaically bad against the spread. Not against the spread, straight up. Like, they're just a terrible team.
Like, perfect example. Week 2, I got bamboozled. They killed the Browns, and I'm like, here we go. Jacoby Brissett's coming into town. And then, of course, the Colts beat them in an ugly, ugly game. And you're thinking the whole time, why did I take this Titans team?
Yeah, the Titans are that typical team that when it's kind of like the Dolphins of a few years ago, like when they had Tannehill, like when they were decent. Like whenever you would get like a little bit excited about them and you think that they're decent, like they can win a game, as soon as they're favored by anything, no, they're just not good anymore. It's like they lay down. Then whenever they're the underdog and you expect nothing from them, they come out and Vrabel puts out the scheme of the century. Mariota comes out there. He throws for 3 touchdowns.
They nip you.
You know,
they nip you good. Remember
A.J. Brown rises from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of
Mike
the way I
Vrabel
see it.
talking about chopping off his penis, his wee-wee.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see any way the Titans win this game.
Taylor Lewan, maybe he's overrated. I don't know. Taylor Lewan's like Landon Collins. I know Taylor Lewan, so I'll vote for him in the Pro Bowl,
Exactly.
He's a household name. Jack Conklin. Here's the thing that I want to talk about is you go back to that Dolphins team. I remember that Colts-Dolphins game. Remember with Andrew Luck and like Tannehill throws for like 400 yards in Indy, and you're like, how did we get here? That game's just ringing. I can't go to bed at night because I'm thinking about that game. This is my favorite game. If I had to watch 2 games, I would watch Giants-Vikings. This is my preferred game, is Gardner Minshew versus Kyle Allen. The 2 young quarterbacks actually get to square off and play each other. I am so freaking excited for this game. I'm getting my laptop charger, but I want to preview this game before I get my charger so we can finish this podcast. I think that Kyle Allen is better than Gardner Minshew, and I'm taking the Carolina Panthers with Jalen Ramsey being sick. Jalen Ramsey, that whole distraction with Sashi Khan. I think that Carolina is just on such a heater right now. Christian McCaffrey made an incredible slip and slide one-handed catch last week. He is the best running back in the NFL. He's even better than Saquon Barkley. And Greg Olsen, Carolina's coming home. Carolina wins big.
Carolina winning big. You might be. How much pot did you smoke this morning, Spence? Did you take a couple bong hits? Spence, you there? Okay, well, it seems like we lost Spencer here. Carolina may win this game. It will be close at best. Gardner Minshew is definitely the better of the 2 quarterbacks. He he has shown throughout the first few weeks of his career the highest completion percentage for anyone throughout the first 4 weeks of an NFL career. The guy has poise. He knows how to extend plays. Very Russell Wilson-esque. He's not quite Russell Wilson, but all the things that people would have criticized Wilson for early in his career are the same things that they're going to criticize Minshew early in his career for. Being short, they think he lacks arm strength. Now, one thing Russell Wilson has proven throughout the years is that he has the elite arm strength and elite deep ball ability. But, that being said, I do see Carolina possibly winning this game.
Still powering through, aren't you?
What?
Putting you to the test this morning. Putting everybody to the test here.
I'm debunking your theory about Kyle Allen being the best quarterback ever. But Gardner Minshew, he just every play it seems like everything's broken down. There's nothing there. He hits someone for a 3-yard gain. Nothing there. He hits someone for a 4-yard gain. The thing about Minshew is he keeps the yards flowing, whether it's a 2-yard, 3-yard gain. Then out of nowhere, he'll hit you with a 10, 15-yard throw. And that's the thing I love about the guy. Doesn't seem to make any bad plays. Doesn't make negative plays. I expect this game to be very close. I think the Jags will win. Yeah, I mean, he's only doing historical things. He's only the highest completion percentage through someone's first 4 games in the NFL history. But that's just a factual statement.
No hits this morning. That's not how I roll, Scott. But anyway, I like Kyle Allen. I hope they go undefeated with Kyle Allen. I hope the Panthers keep this train rolling. In front of the home crowd. I just like how the guy can get out. I like how the guy can get out of trouble, and I like how he can keep plays alive. And he has good arm strength.
Quickly.
What?
Do you expect Leonard Fournette to throw an interception in the red zone this week?
No.
Okay, because that's kind of how they won last week. They had DeAndre Hopkins throwing interceptions in the red zone. I was asking.
Leonard Fournette's a pretty good quarterback now. His brother played for LSU, no longer does. You heard about that?
Yeah. Leonard Fournette, he's not even worth mentioning. So let's move on to the next topic.
One name is Leonard, the other is Leo. That's kind of lazy by the parents.
Yeah, well, he's not even worth talking about. So we're not
Hot seat, Fournette's parents. Anyway, I love the Fournette family, though. Booga Nation in New Orleans.
Yeah, let's not talk about the guy who's ran for 100 yards over his career at LSU over 4 years.
It's all about Nicholas Brissett. Anyway, let's talk about 49ers-Browns. The 49ers have been my darling team for a couple of years. Last year, the train came crashing down in Kansas City. I'm a huge Jimmy Garoppolo fan. I think that this guy is going to be unbelievable. And a lot of people have soured on Jimmy Garoppolo over the years. Last year was him getting injured. I know he doesn't have a cannon for an arm. I know he's not that fast. But I just think Garoppolo is going to be phenomenal. I think he's a fantastic player. And I got to give credit to the Cleveland Browns, though, before we preview this game. I don't know if I saw them beating Baltimore, and that was absolutely an outstanding performance, not only by the Browns, but Freddie Kitchens needed that game last week.
I 100% agree, Spence. If coming into the last week, if you had talked to me at Sunday at 12 p.m., I would have been writing Baker Mayfield for dead, which I still am low on him. But Freddie and Baker, they came out. They had a great game plan. They did things to utilize some of his strengths a little bit more. I think they slid the protections pretty well last week to kind of keep the fact that Baker bails out of every play, which he still does. To give him a little more time instead of just the straight protections and, Baker's just getting run by 4 or 5 defenders at one time. Baker threw the ball great last week. Odell Beckham survived an assault on the field. We're all happy that he's still alive. Well, maybe some of us are. But
yeah, Marlon Humphrey, the quietest guy in the world. That was a weird situation. I have to admit, it did kind of look like he choked him. I don't know why you would be grabbing a jersey Why are you grabbing the neck of his jersey? I don't know.
I don't know. I'll let Roger Goodell handle that one. I mean, it's bizarre at best.
Roger knows how to handle Ravens issues.
Yeah, it's very, very least form. It's bizarre that, somehow Odell got fined and not Marlon Humphreys, but, that's just, that's what it is.
That's here or there. That's a story for what?
Another day. I mean, it really is a story for another day. I mean, that's just bizarre to me. But, yeah, I mean, the Browns came out. They looked good last week. I think it's one of these deals with the Browns where everything hit for them in all 1 week. The receivers looked good. The running game looked good. The Ravens were terrible. We had to pump the brakes on Lamar Jackson over the last 2 weeks just a little bit, including myself. And it all just kind of went all in one game. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid on the Browns yet. I mean, I think they look good. I think it was a great one-game performance. Kind of one of these things. They're not as good as they looked, and they weren't as bad as they looked against the Tennessee Titans week 1. Somewhere in the middle, you'll find some consistency. I think Baker's inconsistent at best right now, but you saw the real good side of him on Sunday. There's no doubt about that. I think Freddie Kitchens was the big difference, as you said. I think he made great adjustments, kind of leaned more on the Nick Chubb run game. And, I don't expect it to happen this Monday. I mean, I think the 49ers defense is elite, to say the least. Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, is 1 year ahead of schedule in the sense of that every quarterback that comes off that ACL injury seems to take a year before they really come back into that elite mold. Right now, Jimmy G looks like he's there. We'll see over the course of the season. But I would expect the 49ers to win the game.
Yeah, and if the 49ers win, they're 4-0. They're then probably going to have a wonderful chance in the NFC West. What I wanted to tell you, Dave, is that what I wanted to mention to you is that Baker Mayfield, the reason he was so good last week is because Baker Mayfield didn't need to throw the football that much. Like Freddie Kitchens only dialed up like 30 pass plays, and that's when he's really effective, when he has the run game. And Baker Mayfield is a souped-up Gardner Minshew. I mean, he's perfect for the modern-day NFL. He can get out of trouble, he can throw, he can find throwing lanes, and he can thread the needle. And the guy I think is a really good player, and I think Baker Mayfield is still going to have a successful career. With that being said, this is the year for the San Francisco 49ers. This is the year in the NFC West where they prevail. When you look at Seattle, I'm not sold on Seattle. I think they overpaid Russell Wilson. And then the Baltimore Ravens, they overpaid Earl Thomas. They overpaid Mark Ingram. They're going to be a team that's also going to fail. John Harbaugh could still very much be fired at the end of the year. But guess what? I'm taking the 49ers winning the NFC West this year, and they're going to win this game on Monday Night Football.
There you go.
Do you think the 49ers win the West?
No, I do not.
Who wins it?
I think Seattle will win the West, and there'll be a weak division.
All right.
They're 4-1 right now, but
Yeah. Let's head to Dallas. All right. I think Kellen Moore's going to bounce back. I don't trust this Green Bay team at all. Aaron Rodgers is going to get sacked by Robert Quinn and by Tank Lawrence. Chris Richard is going to cook up a nasty game plan for Aaron Rodgers. And I think that the Cowboys cover, and the Cowboys will be back winning 4-1, and they'll beat the Packers.
That's good. There's a lot of things to think.
What do you think about that whole soliloquy? I'm firing bullets here today on this Saturday morning.
I think that the Packers probably cover that game. I think the game will be literally around that 3-point number. Literally somewhere right on that head, 3 points, whether it's the Cowboys late in the game with a late field goal, or even if the Cowboys are up 10 late in the game. I don't trust that defense to make that stop to not let Aaron Rodgers get that backdoor cover one way or another, or whether it comes from a Packers win. I think the Packers will cover this weekend. That being said, I do expect Kellen Moore to bounce back. I think some of the problem last week was just the unopportune turnovers. It's a hard place to play, not Minnesota. The Saints, it's a hard place to play. You turn the ball over when they did, and it's just like, it's hard to recover all the time. I thought Dak was not very good last week. He'll recover. You're not in the dome. It's not an uncomfortable situation. They'll be fine. I expect the Cowboys to win that game.
Well, yeah, I was just so disappointed with the Cowboys defense. And the one thing is, David, is that I didn't grow up, you grew up near Giant Stadium. I grew up, I've lived with all Eagles people, so I've never really met like Cowboys fans. Cowboys are all the way down in Texas. I don't really have a ton of hate for the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. I mean, they have Jason Garrett. How can you hate Jason Garrett? I mean, he's such a non-threatening. He's like the old Mr. Rogers next door. He's not a threat at all. If you're going out with a guy like Jason Garrett, he's never going to take the girl at the bar home that you're trying to, talk to in court, He's never going to do that. And you have Tony Romo, the heartbreak kid, the guy who fumbled the extra point in Seattle. The Cowboys are like the heartbreak kid, and I just don't really have any real hatred. When the Giants play the Cowboys, I root for the Giants, of course, to win. I appreciate the rivalry, but the Dallas Cowboys are not a threatening team, and I guess if you grew up in the 90s, I get why you would hate the Star and Barry Switzer and the Cowboys of the 90s, but you know what I mean? I just don't hate them. That's just the truth for me.
I mean, Spencer, you have a crazy take. I know you're trying to defend your take from like Sunday night on the Cowboys defense. There's like literally there's very little numbers that would back it up. If we're low on the Cowboys defense, we'd have to be even lower on the offense. The offense gave them 3 of the 12. Might add 12 points that they gave up. The offense gave them that when they fumbled the ball on like the 40-yard line, and the Saints only had to make a few more yards to get in the field goal range, even though it came close at the end of the half to a touchdown.
Well,
I thought the
defense
was great.
was on the field 35 minutes. I mean, they went on a 10-minute
because
drive.
You turn the ball over. You turn the ball over, you're going to be on the field. That's what happens when you lose the turnover battles. It's
there
not
was no
the
turnovers
defense.
in the second half.
Well, they were on the field the whole time in the the first half. That's where the turnover. That's where the field possession, whatever you want to call it, time possession was lost. It was like 20-10 in the first half.
Yeah, but how come you couldn't get the Saints to turn it over? You were letting Teddy Bridgewater Teddy Bridgewater could do whatever he wanted because he's not going to make a 20-yard throw over you didn't challenge Teddy Bridgewater.
Do you know how the NFL works? He's not going to throw the ball. He's not going to throw an interception. He threw one ball downfield all game. He threw an interception.
Well, play man-to-man because underneath the guys were wide open.
Convert more than 4 of 11 on third down. Come back to me and tell me about how great this Cowboys offense is. And that's basically the Cowboys offense was awful on Sunday. They put the defense in bad spots all game. Kellen Moore was outmatched, outclassed by the defensive coordinator for the Saints, and that's just what it is. You can be a Kellen Moore fan all day.
Guess what?
It
he
just
wasn't outclassed. That
game.
offensive line is severely overrated. Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, they're all getting old.
It's all part of it. So you're telling me that Kellen Moore has nothing to do with the offensive line? We're out of our minds. And that offensive line has been one of the...
The Saints are playing 7 guys in coverage, so you run the football there. And the point is, the Cowboys score a touchdown and go up 10-9, and then their defense is on the field for 10 minutes, and they let up a field goal. The defense couldn't get the ball back to the offense.
4 of 11 on third down all game. They converted third downs on one drive. So, I don't see it that way. They turned the ball over on the offense. I wouldn't call that Kellen Moore anybody's fault, but you turn it over on offense. So basically, you turn what should have been points on the Cowboys' end into points on the Saints' end. To say the defense was bad is, for someone who knows football like you, it's a really, really poor take. I mean, if you give 12 points in an NFL game, I don't care what you say. That's what you call an elite defense over a season.
The whole bend not break thing. I mean, the point is that the red zone defense played fine, but they also got no turnovers and they got outgained in the first half. Or the time of possession, they were giving up 4 yards a carry. Alvin Kamara on those third and shorts, it was automatic. But yeah.
You turned the ball over 3 times in the first, 2 times in the first half on, crucial fumbles. That's where you're making these takes on the Cowboys defense where it doesn't make much sense. It's really the fact that the Cowboys, Jason Witten drops a ball for everybody to pick up. Zeke on 4th down gets the 4th down and then fumbles it there. You give up 12 points. You can't, in the NFL, any day and age, you cannot be mad at the defense. And I just don't see it in any way, shape, or form.
No, I can understand. That's the popular take. I'm trying to maybe find another angle,
We're looking for all angles here.
I'm searching for the angle. All right, and
okay. So let's get. We got about 15 minutes here. We got 15 minutes here. Let's give our picks.
Yeah, this is fun. I like almost running out of time on a radio show. The worst thing you could do on a radio show is not have anything to talk about.
Okay, Spence. Let's go.
College.
College, you're gonna throw at the dartboard 7 to 8. Go, make 8 picks for college.
All right, let's do it. There's nothing better than the dartboard. And you know what? I love opening up the dartboard at 12 o'clock. I have a couple of 12 o'clock heaters at the dartboard.
Okay.
All right.
We'll go 2. It'll be like free throws. You get 2, I'll get 2, and we'll go until we get 8.
2 heaters each. It's like we're on the golf range. We're firing drives, and I take 2. I'm taking the 2 heaters, and the way you have to do this is we have to go in terms of chronological.
We'll do 2 o'clock games.
All right.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State minus the 10. Texas Tech stinks. They blow. And I'm going to give you a reason for these picks. Texas Tech played awful at Arizona. Alan Bowman is overrated. He can't move out of the pocket. Their defense of Texas Tech is terrible.
Alan Bowman's been hurt for the last 2 weeks.
Alan Bowman's been hurt for the last 20 years.
Breaking news. Alan Bowman's not playing today. Keep going.
Is it Jet Duffy, the Jet?
Jet should be playing today.
I might have to adjust the pick. Too late. Oklahoma State, Chuba Hubbard, the Canadian brother of
Chuba for Heisman.
What's his name? He is the next coming of the Canadian superstar. He's like R.J. Barrett in football form. I'm taking the Cowboys and the mullet at Texas Tech. They always play great in Lubbock, Texas. And then you know what? I'm going to lay the lumber. No Elijah Sindelar. Elijah Sindelar is one of my favorite college players. My real bet is the first half for Penn State. It's 17 to cover the first half, but I'll take the 27.5. Let me see. I think it might be 28. Let me get the exact number, but I'm going to take Penn State over Purdue, laying all the points.
Okay. All right, quickly.
It's 28.5. Go ahead, David.
Joe Burrow, Coach O, they've been rolling this year. They've been doing great. Cannot be more impressed with what they've been doing at LSU. They've been blowing every team out, putting 66 on the board. That's why I'm taking Utah State today to cover the 28 or whatever it is, 27.5, wherever you might find your number. Got an NFL quarterback there at Utah State, possible back-end first-round guy in Jordan Love. I expect LSU to put up 1 million points today. That being said, defense hasn't been that great. I expect them to be able to get some points when the game is maybe a little bit out of hand, or maybe even early in the game with just that talent that Jordan Love has, being able to produce a touchdown here, a touchdown there, maybe a field goal here, a field goal there. They'll score some points. Take Utah State to 27, 28 points, whatever you may find it at. Next game, I am going to take. Let's look. I'm very patriotic guy. I love this country. Nothing more than I love than the red, white, and blue. I'm going to take the guys who are protecting the red, white, and blue. Take Army plus the 2. They're going to run the ball down Tulane's throat. They almost went into the big house and beat Michigan this year. They have looked great in every other scenario. Need I say more? Red, white, and blue. If you're a Patriot,
Willie
you take
Fritz.
Army.
For America.
For America, exactly.
You are the most patriotic guy on YouTube, probably.
Okay.
For that pick.
You're next, too.
For that pick alone. All right. I'm going Big 12. I'm going to take the Iowa State Cyclones at home. I'm taking some home Big 12 teams. Matt Campbell bounces back. It was a very depressing game against the Baylor Bears. They went all the way back. Brock Purdy's going to be very angry. You don't want to face an angry Brock Purdy. TCU is very up and down. They lost to SMU at home. I like the Iowa State Cyclones a lot, minus the 3. And then I'm going to go with the Kansas State Wildcats. I know Charlie Brewer and Matt Rule have been having a good year in Waco, Texas. I know that Baylor is an experienced team, but so is Kansas State. Skylar Thompson, this running game of Kansas State in Manhattan at Bill Snyder Memorial Stadium, not an easy place to play.
All right. My next pick, I'm going to stay with the people that protect our country. We're having a great game today. It's going to be a battle in Annapolis, Maryland versus the Air Force versus the Navy. The guys who protect the air versus the guys who protect the sea. And today, I think a little bit of the air raid, even though it will come on the ground with Air Force, is going to be a little bit too much for the guys that will protect the oceans of the U.S. They're protecting the Atlantic. They're protecting the Pacific. They're protecting the Gulf of Mexico. That might be a little too much for them to worry about all at once. They got a football game going on today, Saturday. Malcolm Perry, their quarterback, was really banged up last week against Memphis. He could barely walk off the field. If he's playing today, I don't expect him to be 100%. Air Force has looked great all year. Take Air Force laying the 3 points. The next game I'm going to take, I'm going to go back to our old good friend, Lovie Smith. For some reason, I love what P.J. Fleck is doing this year. He has made me look like a fool on some of my takes. They're 4-0. They haven't really beaten anyone, but they're still 4-0.
4-0.
The 14 points just seems like a ton of points for a team that has not covered the game. It hasn't won any game by 14 this year. They're a grinded team. They're a gritty team. Minnesota, I don't think winning by more than 14 is in their style. The game could land on 14, but I'm not sure that they have it in them to win a game by 20 or 21 points, just to be quite honest. I expect Minnesota to win that game. I'm taking Illinois plus the 14, which is probably my scariest thing I've ever said.
Yeah, no, I think it could be a good pick. I'm a big Minnesota guy, PJ Fleck. I am not going to, get near that 14 because, even against Georgia State, they almost lost that game outright. You look at this board in college football, and I'm gonna lay the lumber with a couple of teams. First, the Missouri Tigers. I'll take the 24.5 against Troy. It's a huge number, but I love this Missouri team. They're coming off of a bye week. I think it's going to be a great performance by Missouri. They can really run the football. They're a very complete team, and Kelly Bryant's doing a heck of a job there. And then I'm going to take Colorado. Colorado with Mel Tucker has had a couple really impressive wins. They're at home against Arizona. I'm not sure if it's Grant Gunnell or if it's Khalil Tate. Do you know who it is?
Who is it?
Of Arizona's quarterback today. Is it Gunnell?
It's like Grant Gunnell or something like that.
Oh, okay. I think
possibly
Colorado
Tate,
definitely will win. Colorado for sure. Those are my 2 picks right here in the middle. 2 picks.
Okay, those are your 2 picks?
Yes.
All right. My next 2 picks will be. We're gonna go. I'm taking Nebraska minus the 7 at 4 o'clock. I think
you just said you wouldn't take Minnesota. You take Nebraska.
I think Northwestern is terrible. Like, even the way they produced their points last week was awful. And I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take a bad team, but they're just even worse on the other end. I think I'm going to take FIU minus the 27 against UMass. UMass is the second, third worst team in Division I football. FIU hasn't been good at all. I get that. In fact, I know that any time a team that is 1-3 is playing another team that's 1-4 and they're favored by 27, it's for a reason. It's because UMass is just that bad. I expect FIU to come in there and blow them out. Butch Davis needs to, get a little morale, make sure that his job is safe. I expect him to win by 40 plus. Take FIU, lay the points.
Oh boy. I got two more fired up here. I'm going to take Michigan State. That's a lot of points to 20.5. I think that they're going to bounce back. They always play Ohio State tough. It is a little scary, but 20 is a ton of points for this matchup. And then I will take Mississippi -7 over Vanderbilt. The new quarterback coming in there. Mississippi played Alabama really well. Mississippi covers the 7.
All right, my last two picks, I'm going to take the clock. If you can find anywhere to watch this game, more power to you. I'm going to take Liberty -4 against New Mexico State. New Mexico State is one of those three teams that are the worst teams in Division I football. Liberty
is he erect for this game?
I don't know where Hugh Freeze is. I don't think Hugh Freeze needs to be in the state of New Mexico for them to win this game by more than 4. I think that Liberty wins it.
I love it. You're staying with America. You gotta stay with America.
Yeah, give me Liberty or give me debt. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Give me Liberty or give me debt. All right, and then come on. Would my last pick be complete if we weren't going Pac-12 after dark? I'm taking Jacob Eason. I'm taking the Huskies.
Oh boy.
David Shaw has been awful this year. After week 1, there was no one drinking the Kool-Aid more than myself on, maybe this is just one of these great coaching jobs again. This team just lacks talent. It's, KJ Costello isn't playing again. Davis Mills is awful. I think Stanford will have a struggle to score much more than 10 points against Washington. That being said, I expect Washington to be able to put up, 28, 31 points. I know how good their defense can be at times in Stanford. Jacob Eason's just a little bit too good. Keep the ball away from that number 11 on the sides for Stanford. Great cornerback. Just don't throw it to him, and you'll be fine.
Exactly. We are officially 5 minutes until the opening of college football. We're going to do our 5 NFL picks. I'm going to fire the 5. Dave's going to fire the 5. And then we're going to get the heck out of here. I'm now going to take Buffalo plus the 3 points. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take the New York Giants, the Dallas Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm going to take Cincinnati over Arizona, and I'll take Carolina. Cincinnati, Carolina, Giants, Bills, and Niners.
That's 6, right?
I think I picked 5.
Say it again.
Cincinnati, Buffalo Bills, New York Giants, Carolina Panthers, 49ers.
Okay, you originally said the Cowboys. Okay, so that's 5. Okay.
Yeah. I'll take the 49ers. Fine. Okay.
Okay, so you take 5. Okay. My picks, the Minnesota Vikings, it hurts me to say it. We're going to go with the Chicago Bears in London. We're going to take no, I'm not going to take that one. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. As much as I'm a Colts fan, I think that they're just going to get blown out. I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns plus the 3.5. And who else do we got here? I'm going to take the Bengals.
Yeah, we like Cincinnati over Cliff.
Yeah, I like Cincinnati over Cliff.
Really
all right,
like
there's about
Cincinnati.
2 minutes before the games here, Spencer. And I'm going to be honest with you. I need my phone to put in the bets. Have a good day.
All right, David, that's it. David, thank you so much. And everybody, have a wonderful and safe Saturday and Sunday. and enjoy the football, and we'll see you guys very soon.